The good old Apex, man. Sometimes when we get these Apex cards, the name value's not there, but I'm like, we could probably get some really, really good fights on this card. Super low level stuff, but we could probably get some good fights on this card. Very exciting fights. And we did. We also had a lot of stinkers on this card. Like, good Lord, some of these fighters, I don't even know what they're trying to do in there. It looks like they're just in there. They're not really fighting. They're just in the cage across from their opponent. We're going to go through, we're going to recap the entire card. Let's get into it. Starting off with the official picks record. We went 6-5. I think we got screwed at least one of these women's fights. That was just never there. And Jekka Sergey was a pick, but bro, I had a bet on Weston Wilson. So 6-5 officially on the official picks record, which moves us to 23-14 throughout 3 weeks of doing this. Not bad. I think it's 62%. Best bets recap. We got absolutely smoked. Okay? Come for me. Do whatever you want, but we got smoked. Garrett Armfield sold it. That was the biggest play right there. The parlay hit. The under never had a chance because these guys were throwing one punch, reset, one kick, reset. You're not going to get a finish that way. Excuse me. Jesus. It's Father's Day. And I had a massive migraine last night after watching this card, so I went to bed. Otherwise, I would have filmed it last night. I probably would have been a lot more fired up, but now that I'm looking at it, I'm more fired up. Almeida inside the distance. I mean, Almeida was a great read, but, you get greedy and take him inside the distance instead of his underdog money line, and you lose there. Sorry about that. Minus 4.34 units. So on the year, I guess, it's been 3 weeks. So minus 2.86 units, and it wasn't UFC Louisville. It was UFC Vegas 93. You can see where we're at right now. The official Homo Fight Picks Discord bets were terrible. Absolutely terrible. Not going to sugarcoat it. We don't hide from our losses here. We do not hide from our losses. Minus 8.44 units. We got absolutely smoked. We did hit the Weston Wilson round 1 sub. Plus 900. That was about the highlight of the night. And everything else, absolute dog shit. But we did have a massive night on the daily fantasy apps. On specifically Underdog Fantasy. Clean sweep on Underdog Fantasy right there. And then we hit the 5-legger. $100 paid $2,000. So while almost every single one of the straight bets, of the parlay bets, straight dog shit, the DFS was off the charts once again. Sweep. That's a $300 turned into $900 there. $100 turns into $2,000. And right here, $400 turned into $600. So that's profit across the board. And we keep the streak going on the DFS apps. Let's get into it with the recap. Make my face a little bit bigger there just so you can look at it while it's all beautied up. Kidding. Julia Polastri. Josephine Knudsen. Let's take a look at these scorecards, man. I mean, Julia Polastri, for one, I don't know what the fuck her game plan was because it looked like for the first 4 minutes, she just wanted to be hit in the face. So I don't know if she got daddy issues going on for this weekend or what, but she just stood in there and she took punches and kicks and a lot of teep kicks to the gut, which did not look good for her when it comes to the judging. First 2 rounds, the judges gave to Knudsen. Now, I would probably give Julia Polastri, or I would give Knudsen the first round because she beat her ass for the first 4 minutes and then got taken down and nearly ground and pounded out, but I don't think that was enough to negate everything that happened in round 1. Round 2, Polastri finally start to throw something on the feet, but Knudsen still probably getting the better of her. Then she gets a takedown, and she starts to do her work there. And I think she landed some damaging shots, and if you remember, Knutson up-kicked her illegally to the face. Could have took a point there. They stop it. They bring in the doc to look at Knutson's eye because it's bleeding and swollen. So there's damage in round 2. But no, none of the judges gave Polastri round 2. And Julia Polastri was a minus 150 betting favorite going into round 3. But on the judges' scorecards, she had not won a single round. And then she goes on and wins round 3. So, yeah, I think there's a very possible way that she could have won rounds 2 and 3 and should have got her hand raised, and we would have cashed our bet and got our pick correct. But either way, Josephine Knutson still scraping by on everything, man. I mean, she's a good kickboxer, but she just doesn't really have that much power. And she's been fighting punching bags. Like, Polastri was a legit punching bag on the feet, pretty much. And then last fight, it was Marnik Man. I think Polastri's a good fighter, though. I think she'll do pretty decent. Melky Costa repping the colorful hair for Pride Month, I guess. I don't know. I mean, he's always got colorful hair and stuff, but, you know, got to make fun of it a little bit. Melky Costa was getting kind of ragdolled for the first 2 rounds. I mean, he was holding his own in a lot of scrambles, and it was somewhat impressive because all Cheyenne does is get takedowns and wrestle you, bro. Like, he doesn't do any damage at all. Even though I do think he probably did enough to win the first 2 rounds, at least the first. Yeah, he just gassed out round 3. He just couldn't continue that pace. And got his back taken and got choked out. Really not much left to say there. Kind of a boring fight. Just a ton of grappling. Some decently fun transitions to watch and stuff, but, you know, not the best fight. The parlay buster, Weston Wilson, the man himself. Praise God that Weston Wilson got that subbing. Now, I will say this. Now, Jekka Sergi was my pick, right? But if you watch that video, I said with the lowest level of confidence. Because if I'm putting my life on the line, I can't take Weston Wilson. I should have. Because, you know, Jekka Sergi was a big favorite. Minus 350. And he has no business being minus 350 against anybody. That's the reason why I bet on Weston Wilson. Because Weston Wilson is not great. But Jekka Sergi has zero ground game. This dude, Jekka, was getting taken down and got TKO'd on the ground by Anshel Jubilee. So yeah, Weston Wilson, for how bad he is, could still get this fight to the ground and find a submission. And he did. Now, he had to avoid a couple big right hands from Jekka Sergi first, which he did, and he finally got that takedown. And I think that's the smartest thing this dude could have done. Because the commentators were saying that Weston Wilson came into this fight saying, I have to get this guy to the ground, and I have to get it done on the ground. Smart game plan. Very smart game plan. A lot of guys will go into fights when they have a clear advantage, and they just won't use it. So, glad to see Weston Wilson has a brain, or at least his coaches have a brain, and got that game plan together, and he gets a W. Jekka, you're really shit, dude. Like, really shit. Lose to Weston Wilson, holy shit. That's bad. Bad look. Fight of the night. Carly Judas, Gabriela Fernandez. Definitely fight of the night, in my opinion. I like this Carly Judas girl, man. She's super smooth on the feet. Just real crisp boxing. She just, one thing she lacks is like some real power. Like, she does not really have that real thud on her punches. And I think that was the difference here. Because Gabriela Fernandez, most of the stuff that she landed on the face of Carly Judas got a reaction. It got a reaction. Now, she didn't land as much, not nearly as much. I think Carly Judas like doubled her up on significant strikes, but there's just the damage aspect to it that I think won her this fight. Round 1, I thought was the closest round by far. I thought it could have went either way. Judas landed a ton of volume, a lot of really good shots, but Gabriela Fernandez did crack her a good amount of times. So I think it could go either way. And then round 2 I thought was for Fernandez. Round 3 was pretty clear for Judas. So yeah, that's just a toss-up, man. I'm not too mad about it. But of course, I would have liked to have that one for the money and for the pick. But I like Judas, man. She's super clean on the feet. Got that Lafayette, Louisiana boxing style. At the end, when Fernandez was tired and just kind of throwing stuff out there, Judas was just fucking real nice boxing. It's real fun to watch. And you don't see that at the women's level. You know, you just really don't see it like that. What a freaking Maness, man. Nate Maness fought this fight against Jimmy Flick like he was trying not to get submitted. Just strictly jabbing, 1-2ing, maybe an uppercut here or there, maybe a leg kick. Not letting his hands go at all. Because I think he knew if he let his hands go, he'd let Jimmy Flick get a little duck under, get in on his hips, get him to the ground. And Nate Maness must be the most scared dude off his back, because when Jimmy Flick was going for those takedowns, it was like Nate Maness's life depended on it that he did not get taken down and put on his back, because he looked scared. On the feet, I really thought Nate Maness, if he just let it go, he could have knocked him out. But credit to Jimmy Flick, man. Apparently Jimmy Flick had probably some rib injury midway through the fight. Still battled through. Jimmy Flick's first decision in the UFC. So, yeah. As soon as I bet on a Jimmy Flick, Nate Maness fight to not go the distance in a chalk parlay, goes to a decision. That was the story of my night right there. Jimmy Flick nearly had that guillotine, though, in round 2. And it almost looked like Nate Maness was giving him a guillotine, because he was going for a takedown. Why? Why are you going for a takedown on Jimmy Flick when you're clearly winning the striking exchanges? And he had it on the outside hip, and Jimmy Flick just threw the arm in there and then pulled or jump guard and nearly got it, man. It looked like it was sunken in, but Nate Maness got his neck out and he gets the win. The dude literally fought not to get submitted and still won 30-27. So that tells you how bad Jimmy Flick is and how much of a submission or bust this guy is, because can't win minutes on the feet. Can't really win minutes on the ground because he's looking to get you out of there, and he's probably going to lose a position eventually. So, yeah. This fight was absolutely terrible. I had the under, of course, and I was really looking forward to seeing these guys go at it, because they're both 1-2 in the UFC. Contracts probably on the line. Somebody needs a win here, right? Somebody might need to save their career. Neither guy fought like it. Not at all. No, they were actually playing the calculated game. I guess you get one end of the spectrum. You either get a guy that goes out there back against the wall and he's going to be throwing haymakers trying to get that W, or you get a guy that goes in there and is scared of losing and ultimately fights a little point kickboxing match. That's what we got from both guys, because this fight was one punch, reset. One kick, reset. Josh Quinlan would wind up, jump in there with a big lead hook, whiff, reset. Terrible fight. Absolutely terrible fight. And the question comes down to the judges' scorecards once again. And I think Josh Quinlan won round 1. And honestly, I thought Josh Quinlan won round 2 because this cut on Adam Fugit was leaking pretty bad in round 2. So I thought, the judges would see that. They'd probably give it to Josh Quinlan in round 2. And two of the judges did. So 2 of the judges did give him round 2. Round 3 was clear Fugit. Clearly outvolumed him there. So personally, I had a bet on Adam Fugit. And I thought Adam Fugit probably lost 29-28. Probably dropped the first 2 rounds. And then Adam Fugit gets his hand raised. And I'm sitting here like, well, yeah, Josh Quinlan probably could have won that, but he definitely could have done more. Like, you're 1-2 in the UFC, bro. You're 1-2 in the UFC. And you go out there, you land 53 significant strikes, and you expect to win on the judges' scorecards? You just can't do that. He has no volume. He has no setups. He's just an explosive puncher. He's terrible. And Adam Fugit on his side. I mean, I expected more from him too. 1-2 in the UFC, bro. You got to make a fucking move. Go in there and try to finish the fight. Don't leave it to the judges here. Both guys. So neither guy can be upset about this, in my opinion, because they both fought like complete weenies, bro. One kick, reset. One punch, reset. So dumb. Mauled, but should have finished, bro. Yeah. Asu Nurmagomedov mauled Jose Johnson for most of the fight. Got in some pretty sketchy scenarios on the ground where Jose Johnson nearly had the triangle choke, nearly had the rear naked choke. But at the end of the day, Nurmagomedov was the one leading the dance. And I don't know how he didn't submit him, bro. He had at least 4, maybe 5 rear naked chokes that looked like they should have been easy to finish. But Jose Johnson, with those long arms, I guess, was just hand fighting the shit out of him, and he couldn't get him done. But, man, Nurmagomedov can maul a motherfucker. Jesus. He can maul. Because Jose Johnson, that's a tough dude to deal with on the ground. The long limbs with the ability to, put the feet on the hips, or at least elevate the hips and push you away so you can't land ground and pound. And then, of course, in transitions and stuff, just wrap some really crazy stuff up. Nurmagomedov, man, he kind of looked like a mini Khabib in there. Like, this is straight up Khabib. Grab the wrist, punch with the off arm. He looked like a mini Khabib. Knees are just absolutely shredded. I do not envy that, because that's going to burn like hell in the shower for the next, 3 or 4 days. It's probably going to pus up and stuff. Disgusting. But Nurmagomedov's a beast. Heistand. Brady Heistand is a terrible fight for anybody, bro. I liked Garrett Arfield a lot this week, and I still like him. I think he's got really good skills. Garrett Arfield probably should have had this dude finished 3 times. I can think of the armbar. The armbar in the first round was in tight. Heistand found his way out of it. Now, Heistand locked in a guillotine choke, I think it was. Or used a guillotine or a rear naked choke. That nearly got Armfield out. And then, so Heistand wins round 1. Go to round 2. Armfield drops this dude twice. Puts him straight on his back. If that's Jason Herzog, that fight is getting called. Because he had him freaking on life support at that point. I think he probably got knocked out for a good 2 or 3 seconds on his back. And then, at that point, this is one thing I would like to see fighters do. And I don't know how they don't do it. If you knock a guy down, flat on his back, like Armfield did to Heistand, and you go in for the ground and pound, right? And the guy's defending and you can't really land that ground and pound, just back off and tell him to get back up. What's wrong with that? Because, number one, you're the striker, he's the wrestler, and him being on his back is not the worst thing, because he's not on the feet with you. He just got knocked down on the feet with you. So if you knock him down, you go in there to throw ground and pound, and you're not really landing anything, and he's just recovering, just tell him to get back up so he doesn't have time to recover. You get back on your feet, and you can land another big knockout blow. But most of these fighters just stand on top of them, allow them to recover, not really do any damage, and then Armfield actually ended up getting taken down from the position he was in. So he's standing over him, and then Heistand just gets back up to his knees, grabs onto the hips, and Armfield gets taken down. You just allowed the guy to recover on the ground, and then you got taken down. And then in round 3, Heistand's pace is just absolutely insane. And I could kind of start to sense Garrett Armfield was fading. And I'm just dig deep for me, bro. Just dig deep. He couldn't do it. Gets down in round 3, and Heistand sinks in the rear naked choke, tight as hell. I mean, Armfield fought off a lot of submissions, so I don't think it's like his submission defense was as bad. It's just the pace of Brady Heistand is nuts. It almost reminds me of like a Marab type pace, but with a lot more control. It's not really like Heistand can pick you up and put you down, like just chain wrestle over and over again, but he is looking to get the back and he is looking to threaten with submissions. So I talk down on Heistand, but dude, he's a tough fight for anybody. He is a tough fight. I just don't really think his overall skills are on the level of Garrett Armfield, but it's just the pace, the pressure, the dog in him. Like, he got knocked out, but he still managed to come back and win the fight. So Heistand's a terrible fight for a lot of dudes because I don't really think his skills are that crazy, but it's just the heart, the pace, the cardio, and just overall pressure the dude puts on you is really tough. So props to him. Big brother right here. Lucas Almeida, I called it all week. Timmy Kwamba he's just frail, man. He's not he's a young kid. I think he's 26? Like, he's still young in his MMA career. You could tell by just looking at him, he looks like a young kid. But he has good skills. He just never goes out there in the cage and actually lets them go. So there's some type of mental block going on where he gets in that cage and he just can't let his full skills out there. Like, he must be just one of those guys that's a beast in the training room, goes out there and lays an egg in the cage. Like, he just might be one of those guys, super skilled, but just can't show up on fight day. And Lucas Almeida, big motherfucker for 145, absolutely just walked him down, threw big power shots at Timmy Kwamba, and Timmy Kwamba was not really returning with anything. And if you're not returning with anything against Lucas Almeida, he's just going to continue to tee off on you, walk you down, and throw harder and harder every time. And he landed a bunch of big shots. I think he knocked him down 2 or 3 times in the first round, another one in the second. No, Kwamba is tough. He's young. He's still got that durability, that good chin. And he took some big shots from Almeida, but this dude probably should never have been signed to the UFC because you can just tell the confidence is not there. And the confidence wasn't there on the Contender Series. It wasn't there. He shouldn't have won that fight. He got a gifted decision there. So if you give him fights on the regional scene, just build his confidence in there. Just when he gets in there, he's not confident. He got big brothered here by Lucas Almeida. So this fight was absolutely terrible. Disgusting display from both guys. Like, how are you just going to sit in there? This was like the Fugit and Quinlan fight. How are you just going to sit in there and stare at each other for like 30 seconds at a time? And then once all Miles Johns does is stand there with his hands like this, waits for you to come in, and just wings a big overhand right. That's all he does. And then if he misses that, he'll wing a big left hook, he'll back up, and then circle out. And then if you're in his range to where he doesn't have to actually take a step forward, he'll pop a jab out, just like that, on the screen. That's what he does. And Douglas Silva de Andrade couldn't figure it out. And I think a lot of these guys, when they fight Miles Johns, are just so fucking scared of this guy's hands and being in range with him. Because he must hit like an absolute truck. Everything he threw at Andrade looked like it stunned him for a second. What is that? Like, he's stinging you with a jab? And Andrade, at the end of the fight, he's down 2 rounds to nothing. He goes in there in round 3. He knees the guy in the face. Miles Johns' mouthguard pops out. Andrade never followed up. You have this guy hurt. His mouthguard is out. This is your opportunity to steal the fight. And he didn't follow up with a single strike. They stop it, gets his mouthguard back in there. There's like a minute 30 left. And it's just the same shit. Just dancing around there, looking at him, staring in the mirror at nothing. And towards the end of the fight, 10 seconds left, like they're screaming at each other. Bro, you guys, this was one of the worst fights on the card, and it was the co-main event. This fight was trash. Just standing there staring at each other. and when one of them makes a move, you throw a big hook, and then you stop. This isn't fighting, bro. This isn't MMA. Like, what the hell is going on? This is just trash fight. And one more thing, Andrade with the shaved head looks like an absolute lunatic. Good Lord. All right, last one we got here. Tatsuro Taira, Alex Perez. It was not a fluke, bro. When I first saw it happen, I'm like, oh, man, that sucks. Fluke KO, Alex Perez blows out his knee in round 2. And, Taira gets a win. Tough for Perez. But you watch it back, bro, that was not a fluke. This move by Tatsuro Taira is insane, bro. He has his back. And as I'm watching him have his back in round 2, I'm looking at it like, why isn't he adjusting this? Like, why isn't he adjusting this so that this leg is on the outside and he can really go chest to back right here and look for a rear naked choke? Why he wasn't adjusting it was because he was looking to sweep this leg out so that this leg would fall down and he would fall to his back. Instead, he swept this leg out and this leg fucking blew out. That ACL went flying across the cage. I'm assuming it's an ACL. Went flying across the cage, or maybe it was more. LCL, PCL, MCL. It's probably all over there. All over the cage. Because that shit popped. Perez tapped. So I guess there's the question of, is it a tap to a submission or a TKO? I think they ruled it a TKO. I had the round 2 sub, so that's why I'm kind of salty. But, yeah. I mean, Taira looked good on the feet, but he was losing. He lost the first round, in my opinion. Perez just landed way more and even landed some good shots. But Taira held his own on the feet. And then just this kind of move, you can just tell this kid is next level, bro. Like, this kid might be for real. This is an insane move. Nobody, who else has done that? Never seen it before. But you know it's intentional. Because if it wasn't intentional, he would not do this. He would go chest to back, and he would get the body triangle on this side with his leg wrapped around here to secure it. It's high-level stuff. High-level stuff. So, yeah, Taira's good. His striking looked pretty good. Popping the jab out there. Eyes are closed. Not sure if they're ever open, but striking looked good. Timed his uppercut pretty good. Tie clinch was pretty good. Perez did look decent, though. It's just, I didn't really give him much of a chance going in there, 6 weeks after his last fight. I don't really like that for fighters because they just continue to keep going, and it's just a new opponent, not that much time. Yeah, just weird stuff. But, yeah, Taira's good. And we'll see what he does. I mean, eventually, if he just keeps winning, he's going to fight Pantoja. And I think that would be a sick matchup to watch because he's undefeated. He probably only needs one more win before he gets a title shot because he beat Perez, who's ranked number, 5? So, yeah, number 1 contender shot coming in the future for Taira. Pretty cool. Like to see it. Like and subscribe. Appreciate you for the view. And comment down below if you got any comments. But until next time, Hey Job Picks, we out.